Good evening, everyone. You join me in my little shed outside the back of my house in the south of England, in the UK, to look at this, my 9men's Morris board. Now, if you've been watching my studio videos over the last couple of weeks on Facebook, you'll heard me mention this because I've been making it here and there for a little while. It's the second one of these boards I've made during lockdown. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you will not have had all the in-between videos. You will have just had the one at the start. I haven't been consistently uploading to YouTube because not every video has been relevant. But this one is because I've made a thing. Now, if you are a YouTube subscriber, you may be expecting to see some kind of time lapse, some kind of instructional, some kind of documentation of making this. That's what I normally do when I make a little thing, is film it, make a video, put it on YouTube, and lots of you enjoy it. We've just hit 500 subscribers actually, so I should say thank you very much. That's pretty nice. But I haven't actually filmed the making of this because, you know, with everything that's going on, I just want to, when I come out to the shed, to the studio to make things, I just want to be concentrating on the making. I haven't got the time or the capacity to also make a video. Which is why you've got me late at night speaking into my phone, and we are not editing, guys. Anyway, this 9men's Morris board, I want to tell you a little bit about it. I think maybe we can make a video in the future with Fly Guy and Skullman, and they can teach you how to play the game. But today we're not going to talk about how the game is played. We're going to talk about how this board was made, and there's a few features that I'd like to show you. The first one is this. These are little jewellery box feet, which you can buy from eBay or similar such websites for just a couple of pence. They're tiny things, but they can really elevate a make such as this, both literally and figuratively. If you watch my YouTube channel, you know that I've used this little trick before when making dice trays, and it really makes something that's simple look a bit fancy. But I did more with this one to make it fancy. So the first board that I made, first 9men's Morris board, was made using a big old bit of old wood. It was a really chunky old thing, and then I cut up a broom handle to make game pieces, and it's kind of massive. And I made that for my kids who were used to playing on a massive board at the local museum. When we went to the library to change their books every couple of weeks, they would often ask to go to the museum as well, where there was a 9men's Morris board that they liked to play on. Which is why I made the first one. It was to give them the opportunity to play during lockdown. And when I made that, I thought, I bet I could do a better job of this. And I'd quite like to make a board for myself, because I have a history of making copies of ancient board games and even turning them into, well, for me, pretty large scale artworks. So this is part of kind of thinking and research for possible future art making. Anyhow, I've talked about that previously, so I won't talk about it again. Let's talk about the fabrication. So we've got the jewellery feet. The next thing that I decided to do was have the grain of the wood follow the square shape of the board. Now, in order to achieve that, what I did was take, a nice bit of wood with some straight grain and cut right angled triangles, 4 of them, which are then placed in such an orientation to create a square. This wood is reclaimed. It's actually an old toddler bed. You can see a bit of old sticker on there. It's pretty manky condition, but that's okay. It was sanded down. Originally, I was going to use this from another part of the bed. You can see you can just about fit a board on there without it being too squished, but it would have been very tight and look a bit strange. But I didn't really like this wood. You can see it's made from 3 different pieces, and it's just very clearly scrappy wood. So that's why I chose this piece. which you know, has nice straight grain. It's a single solid piece, and by doing my little right angle triangle trick, I was able to actually get a play space which wasn't just big enough, but was a really nice size for this mini board. And I think that process too, again, elevates the board, makes it look a bit nicer, a bit more fancy. I had to buy a special drill bit to make these holes neatly, as I am just handheld. So I got myself a Forstner bit to make the holes there. They came out pretty well. And the last thing that I did, you know, short of varnishing, was using this, a simple common or garden soldering iron, to burn on the board. So that's kind of a very cheap way to do pyrography if you don't want to fork out lots of money for the machine. And for simple things like this on pine, it really is good enough to use a soldering iron. So yeah, that's my 9 men's Morris board. I'm pretty pleased with how it's turned out. I'd like to know what you think at home, and as I say, maybe we'll have a future video in which we talk about how the game is played. Yeah, I think that's about everything I've got to say. Usually on these videos I do a little bit to camera, be on screen, but you don't want to see what I look like tonight. I am very tired. It's been a very long week. And I've been very grateful for these snatched moments in the studio to just concentrate on making something, and not necessarily have the pressure of it being for anything, but it's given me space to think about stuff, and think about possibilities of turning this into an artwork in the future. I think I spoke in a previous video about weird little connections between this and the idea of a kind of Faustian pact. I've been I read Marlowe's Faustus recently, and it's kind of going around in my head, and the fact that this game is contemporaneous to Marlowe as well. I think there's something in that. I like the idea of maybe doing some kind of live performance where the audience come and play the game against me, and there'd be some kind of a bargaining thing going on, perhaps. I don't know. It's all very early doors. The main thing though is I've got a lovely 9 men's Morris board that I can play at home, and that's the main thing, right? So there you go. That's it from me in my studio shed thing today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I apologise to those of you who are used to seeing videos of the thing actually being made and lovely time lapses and stuff, that you're getting this unedited ramble, but so it goes.